Moving on from SQL or on-premise, let's talk about Dataverse. So Dataverse is supposed to be the premium data platform for Power Platforms. What are the performance considerations that people often overlook?
Yeah, so there's a few, and they can be tricky, unfortunately, in the background. So the first one is if you have a lot of plugins registered on your Dataverse records, especially if they're in the pre-operation, that means anytime somebody makes a request or something, it's going to have to run your plugin. So this code just runs and gets in the way. It also has to check all the security roles. If you got a lot of those, it has to do that comparison. Like there's some steps that happen along the way, but it is still incredibly performant. Like it is a wonderful database until you start to get really complicated. So you can see my screen, yeah?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, actually, it's a running gag today. So.
All right. So there's something called a TDS connection. So Power Automate does not use it. Power Automate just makes an HTTP request, and then the records come back. Power BI uses a tabular data stream. It's like a SQL connection. It looks like SQL. You connect to it from any kind of SQL tool, and it's wonderful, and it runs very powerfully. You can do all kinds of complex queries. I love it. The problem is when you start getting in this situation where you have a lot of joins to a lot of different tables, that really slows it down, and it makes your Power BI report have to wait a long time to get all this, and then you're just kind of like swimming in all this data. So in this case, when you do have all of these nested relationships, to get around that, you're going to have to either flatten your data, which means take some of these tables and shove them into one, or there's tools built specifically for this, and I won't go through all the slides here, but the main one I wanted to call out is right here. You could use Synapse Link. And what it does is you set this up in Azure. All of this comes out of the box. You just like connect it. Like you just set up Azure Synapse. It's just a click setup. And then you go to your Dataverse environment and then you connect the two. And then that's it. And then now what you're going to get is behind the scenes, it's going to do all kinds of like complex. It's going to take your Dataverse data and it's going to shove it into what they're called. I think it's not on this slide. Where is it? Cool. Here it is. Delta Parquet files, and in those they become kind of like you could think of them as like CSVs, and they're incredibly fast. You can query them, you could do millions of records, you could join them. Everything on Fabric is using this in the background. Fabric rarely connects directly to Dataverse if you built it properly. So like here, there's let me see here. It looks like this. There's a new. You can set up shortcuts, and you can connect Fabric to your Dataverse environment. And then it's going to put it all in those Parquet files for you. And then Power BI is no longer talking to Dataverse directly. It's talking to your quote unquote clone of your data in the Parquet files. And it'll be way more performant, much faster. However, that adds a little bit of, it's just more expensive now because now you're paying for Fabric. But if you paid for Fabric, if everything I just showed you in Azure kind of freaked you out, what's amazing about Fabric is that it's all taken care of for you. You don't even have to like really go into Azure to set that up. Versus Azure Synapse, you do, but Azure Synapse is cheaper.
Yeah,